Now, I filmed this back in the spring 2012, and it was quite a frustrating morning. It was successful, but it was a frustrating wait, as you'll see. And I've been sort of dreading sitting down and going over the footage, as there was quite a bit of it. But I've gone through it. The film here is still quite long. It must be one of the longest I've edited and uploaded to YouTube. But it'll give you an idea why it was so frustrating. And in the end, patience paid off. But I'm setting up the little pop-up hide and camouflaging it with a bit of ex-army camouflage. It was second hand, and to tell you the truth, I think there's more holes in it than there is camouflage. But that's what I brought with me that morning to try and match the hedge background. Now, the area I'm shooting in is basically a small out farm. It's just 3 large fields on a bit of hilly ground that the farmer uses to rear his sheep on. And at this time of year, the sheep are lambing, so the farmer is very keen on reducing as many hooded crows, magpies and foxes. Now, I'm not after foxes this morning. I only have a 15 foot-pound BSA Superten air rifle. So I've set my bait out here, which is a dead rabbit. I've split open to show the guts, to hopefully entice the hooded crows or magpies down. And I have it set up at about 30 yards, which is a nice air gun range. As you can see, I have a dead magpie with me that I could set up as a decoy, but decided not to. Now, this is what I'm here trying to protect. The field has quite a few ewes in it that have lambed already. Now, the single lambs are quite easily protected by the mothers, but the double lambs like that there is very difficult for a ewe to protect both of them at the same time, and that's where foxes and hooded crows can do some damage. I've sat for a while now, and the farmer's just doing a circuit of the field, as you can see in the Land Rover, checking to see if anything's lambed through the night. And he has shot at 1 or 2 hooded crows from the Land Rover, so the hooded crows usually don't come about until they see the Land Rover has moved off. Here you can see 2 of them sitting in a distance about 80 yards away, and they're pulling a cleaning or an afterbirth from a ewe that has lambed that night, which is okay. They're doing a good job. They're cleaning up the afterbirth. There's no problem with that. It's when they decide to go for the living ewes and young lambs that they start to cause a nuisance of themselves. Now, this farmer has experienced damage from hooded crows in the past. One of a sickly ewe off her feet that had her eyes pecked out, and another of a lamb that something had a good go at trying to peck its tongue out, even though it was still only half born. But anyway, back to this morning, and this is where the fun starts. As you can see, the hooded crows have taken an interest in the bait I've set out. The problem is that they like landing out in the field about 80 to 100 yards away. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if I had kitted myself out with a rimfire or centerfire. The problem is this ground doesn't really suit a rimfire. The fact that there's 2 or 3 houses out round the borderline, and that there's a main road along the hillside just at that hedge line. So this means that the air rifle at 30 yards is a far safer tool to be using. So all I can do is sit and watch the birds waddle their way into range, and hopefully I'll be able to get a shot before they suss out that something's not right. Now, this bird's about within range, 30-35 yards, and he's walking up to the rabbit for a feed. The thing is, he is so suspicious that I daren't move in the hide at all. I managed to get the camera focused in on him, but as you'll see, as soon as I even lift the rifle to my shoulder, the slightest of movements, He seems to catch it and he's away before I can get the shot off. So it's back to the waiting game. But as you can see, the birds are interested and they do keep coming down. The problem is they're landing well out of range of the air rifle, and then you have to sit back and wait to see if they'll waddle into range again. These birds are no joke. They've been shot at before, probably by the farmer, maybe other people. I'm not on the ground too often, so this sort of technique hasn't been used too much on them. But they are still very wary, even of the rabbit, never mind the hide. If I wasn't using the camera, I could concentrate more on getting the rifle on target and getting the shot off, but who would be able to see anything at the end of the day? So I decided to set out the magpie decoy I had to see if it would give the birds more confidence. And sure enough, they start to come back down again. There probably is the only two birds, a mating pair, on this ground. And they seem to come and go, land about 80 to 100 yards away, waddle up to the target, waddle up to the bait, and then fly off again. It's quite frustrating, but if I'm going to get one of these, I'm going to have to show a good bit of patience. I will admit, setting the hide up here, looking into the rising sun, probably wasn't the wisest thing to do, because the birds are probably picking up on some sort of reflection, maybe off of the end of the barrel of the gun, even though I have it camouflaged, or it could be the camera lens or the lens in the telescopic sight. The problem is that this ground has a fairly deep ditch running around a lot of the hedgerows, which means you can't get a hide in tight to the hedgerow. Now, I set the hide up here because there's an old bridge over the ditch, which I have set the hide on to enable me to get in tight to the hedge. Plus, at the top end of the field is a road, so I can't set the hide up on that hedge, which is in shadow at the minute. But I'll maybe look at something else. If it had been a dull overcast day, I probably wouldn't be having any problem. But both birds are down now, and one of them has come within range. He's about 40 yards from the bait, so if I can be patient and wait for him to get another 5-10 yards closer, I might be able to get a good headshot on him. This bird's finally plucked up enough courage to walk within range. He's probably just over 30 yards away. And I've been waiting here quite a few hours patiently, so I don't want to fluff the shot now. I want a nice accurate headshot. These are tough, strong birds, and a shot to the heart and lungs doesn't always drop them on the spot. But a nice headshot like that anchors them to the ground, and he's down and out. Of course, this sets off the other bird into a wee bit of a tizzy match, and he's joined by 1 or 2 magpies and a few rooks from a local rookery. I wait patiently to see if he'll come down and land beside his mate, but no such luck. It decides to sit up in a tree for a while, about 80 yards away, but he's not for coming down to mourn his mate. As the commotion's starting to die down a wee bit, this magpie comes into land. Corvids always do have a fascination with dead brethren. I get the camera zoomed in on him. And drop him with another headshot. Then all of a sudden, another magpie lands. Again, I get the camera in on him. Get the rifle on aim. And just miss him. I think I allowed too much for the wind there, as it was starting to pick up. After a while, a dark shadow dropped in over the hedge from behind me. I was all excited thinking it was another hooded crow until I got a better look at it and realised it was a buzzard. He sat there for ages looking around him before he finally got the confidence up to come forward to the magpie I'd shot earlier. But once he did get his confidence up, he made darn sure that bird was his. Now, there usually is some sort of, let's say, confusion when I upload footage of a buzzard on YouTube, and somewhere along the line I usually get a comment below saying it's not a buzzard, it's a hawk. Well, in the UK this bird is known as a common buzzard, and yes, it is a member of the bird of prey family, and I do believe it is a hawk, but in the UK it is known as a common buzzard. Now, people have wrote to me and given me the Latin name for it. I don't know it off by heart, and I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it properly anyway if I did. Now, why it's called a common buzzard, I don't know. Ask the boy that wrote the dictionary. Plus, also, those boys that are about to write a comment saying, shoot the blasted buzzard, well, you can stop right now, because I'll delete you later on anyhow. All birds of prey in the UK are protected by the law, so if you happen to shoot one, you're probably in deep doo-doo. Now, the reason I let this bird feed away unmolested and didn't try and shoo him off was the sheer fact there was an off chance that another magpie or hooded crow might have landed beside him, giving me another opportunity while he maliciously pulled that magpie apart. But after watching him for a good 15-20 minutes, and maybe someday I'll upload the whole footage of it, he decided he had enough and left with his packed lunch. So I decided it was time to quit and give up, because I've been sitting quite a few hours and I was sore and stiff. Let's see how we done. Simple rabbit decoy, split open. Magpie decoy, dead bird set up in the cradle. Should have maybe tried that earlier this morning, but sometimes when you put decoys up in sheep ground, or if there's cattle about, they end up nosing it over and dozing it into the ground, and it doesn't look very realistic then. But there's our greyback crow we shot. Let's see. Decent headshot. And there's what's left of our magpie after the buzzard has plucked it stupid. I think there's even, he's even pulled the beak off it. He must have been trying to lighten the load enough so he could fly off with it. And I should have had that second magpie. I allowed a wee bit too much for the wind. It's got breezy up here compared to what it was this morning. I think my biggest problem was this morning that the sun riz in my face and it was bathing my hide in a brilliant light. Even though it was a beautiful sunrise,
that was causing me problems, because every time I went to raise the rifle, once the greyback had come onto the bait, he must have saw some sort of movement, whether it was a kink of light, a reflection, or what it was, and twice he flew off on me when I went to shoulder the rifle to take a shot. In hindsight, I should have maybe went to that hedge there, which is still sort of in shadow at the minute, but we'll maybe do that another day. Got a magpie and a greyback crow, even though the buzzard took the magpie, but the farmer will be happy, because he's lambing here at the minute. As you can hear, all the ewes bleating and the lambs and that. And greyback crows and magpies are just not tolerated here at all at the minute. So a couple of less is a good job.